Hey. It's Filter Free Friday, y'all. Listen, I am so glad y'all here. I started my business in 2016, and I remember vividly that I was concerned because the only book that I'd written was Lively Paradox, an authentic perspective on issues of diversity and inclusion. And I wrote that book because I was frustrated. I wrote it in 2014 I wrote it in 2011. I had met George Fraser, the author of Making Your Network, and I was curious to know, like, what do you need to do in order to write a book? And he told me, he said, Nicole, just keep track of everything that, you feel like you have a unique perspective about and, stick it in a folder. And I remember at the time that I was frustrated because the diversity and inclusion arm of our business was approaching these topics in ways like from a moral compass. And I was like, dude, this is not gonna work. You don't really understand difference. I grew up the sixth child of seven children, the one who is the different one. And if I wanted to be able to use the bathroom when I wanted to, if I wanted to be able to eat the food I liked, have my toothbrush not be used for weird things, not have my stuff in my room taken, I had to be smart and I had to be stealth and I had to be politically savvy and I had to be emotionally intelligent. As a child, many times I was not these things, but I would be righteously indignant about being right and I would lose almost every time. This was especially true given that I didn't believe that I was the favorite child. Now, there's some discrepancies around it. So I wrote the book Lively Paradox, and I purposefully left out race. I was talking about diversity and inclusion, and I purposefully left out race, and here's why. Because even people who call other people stupid, even people who will scream and tell you other people are dumb, don't always know the definition of words. If you look up the word diversity, you can talk about diversity in agriculture. You can talk about diversity in people. You can talk about diversity in thought. You can talk about diversity in race, anything. The word only means difference. It does not mean anything else. And we do not get to control difference. You could go to a country you can go to like Japan, where 99% of the people Japanese, and they will have diversity problems. I'm going to be with a group soon. All of them happen to be white. The issues they have are clearly diversity problems because they different. Marriages break up because you got two people who can be from the same community, who can have the same socioeconomic class, who can go from having gone to the same high school with the same religion, everything. And they got a diversity problem. They can't figure out how to get along across difference. And so I wrote this little book to say, let me leave out race because most people think of diversity and they think race. And race don't act like race doesn't what we've done with race in America, it doesn't act like everything else. Here's what I mean. I might have let me use my six siblings. We all have internal prejudices against each other. As our parents picked who the favorite was and who get to pick the rules and who was running things, we actually created a system of how we were going to interact. We shifted from our own internal prejudices about each other to coming up with the policies and the rules, which were shaped by bias and shaped by the people who had the most power. And then you fast forward, the way our larger familial system works is based on these rules that started with prejudices. You know how racism work. We created whiteness by law. 1681, we stopped calling people Norwegian and English and Italian. And we said, there's this thing called white. And then we're going to give people benefits because of this thing called white. And then you fast forward a little while, then they started with the rules as it relates to race. It didn't even exist. We never would just define somebody by the color of their skin. We actually would notice. It's ridiculous not to notice, but we never define anybody. And why am I telling you all that? Because I wrote a book about what it looks like to leverage difference to help get the best out of people, to create a community that's better and inclusive without the complication of race. Not because I don't think race matters. Race in the United States of America guides everything. So I wrote this little book first. It's the first one because I had the most content about it. And I said, I want you to think about all of your identities besides race so that you can get this information. Because race causes us to be stupid, honestly. And when I'm talking about us, I mean me too. What I wish more people would acknowledge is that I didn't understand race as a social construct until I was 18 years old and on the campus of North Carolina A&T. And even then, it wasn't part of my core curriculum. It was because I know TJ Muhammad is why I started to understand what the complications of race were. And then if you think about my current understanding, which I still think is incomplete, it is because I completed the groundwater session from the Race Equity Institute out of North Carolina. And so even when I see people, screaming into the void about, oh my God, he's removing all the DEI, and then the next sentence is, Black people do da 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 da, it is an indication that you too think diversity means race. I think it was the worst decision I've ever made to write Lively Paradox first because I know far less about diversity and inclusion than I do about intelligence and ignorance. You see, I grew up across the street from a man named Brad. He was a pimp. And on the surface, you might say Brad was stupid because that's understanding intelligence to be educated. And that's the only thing it means to you. But when you realize that the ability to mobilize people and get people to think what you want them to think and do what you want them to do is a type of intelligence, you can recognize there's many different ways to be smart. And sometimes what you're dealing with ain't a lack of intelligence. It's actually very strategic and smart and mobilizing. Today is the 31st of January. It has been 11 days. And I've known that distract, divide, and destroy is a strategy. But what I didn't know is that chaos's strategy is actually a military tactic. So, in theory, what you do when you want to get your opponent distracted, or you want to get two of your opponents fighting each other instead of putting their focus on you, what you do is you purposefully create chaos. And let me read this definition to you. Chaos as a strategy is the deliberate tactic where a leader intentionally creates disorder and uncertainty to achieve a specific goal. The goal is to disrupt and to overwhelm opponents, gaining an advantage through confusion, using chaos as a tool to manipulate a situation to their benefit. Now, you tell me, you can call him stupid, you can call him hateful, you can call him whatever you want to call him. He is effectively implementing this strategy. And a politician might deliberately spread misinformation or create controversies to destabilize the political landscape and gain an edge. I was thinking really long and hard about what I was going to share with you today because I actually am not surprised. I'm disappointed but I'm not surprised. I feel incredible sympathy for people who did not realize that they were DEI hires. Every single DEI statement ever has said, we are going to do XYZ without regard to race, gender, sexual orientation, class, veteran status, or religion. Makes me sad to see veterans realizing that they were DEI hires after I'm sure a sizable majority of them voted against their own interests without knowing it. And I think that if you happen to be in the gifted and talented program when you were in high school, I think you need to remember what your popularity was like. And I'm speaking in sweeping generalizations. People ain't like you because you was brilliant. Mm-mm. And when you understand that, you understand the vitriol that was being pushed towards the candidate who was on paper more qualified for the role. When you are smart, there is evidence that says other people who feel they are not smart, amygdala gets hijacked. That's not something people can control. You walk in a room and people gonna be like, I don't like that. That help the fact that he just says whatever and does whatever, people connect to that. You know what that is? That's making people feel included. That's giving people a sense of belonging. And that's why children join gangs. You think a child is going to go join a gang if they feel like they have a sense of belonging? No. But a gang leader understands very clearly the hole that is in the heart of a young person who is looking to belong. And so they tell them what they need them to tell them. It's a strategy used by pimps forever. Tell them what they want them to hear. And then they come along and then they will do anything to have that sense of belonging. And so while we're screaming into the void saying, these idiots, they done effed around and found out. You're making it worse, sugar. I want you to be smarter. I want you to recognize that Elon Musk has $422.7 billion. I can't even comprehend that kind of money. If you lived 422.7 billion seconds, you would be 13,395 years old. 13,000 years old. Can't comprehend that kind of money. But when you watch that man, well, just watch him. No words. He is a person who has never belonged. Look at him with no words. Watch the video of the people who stormed the Capitol on January 6th. These are people who are hurting. No words. Just watch them. And while we are over here engaged in intellectual superiority, because I know how to use a word, because I got a thesaurus. Meanwhile, we're losing the battle of decency. 11 days. Tuesday, the mandate to halt federal funding. I don't know how much chaos was caused. I can tell you about the people I touched directly. And we wasted hundreds of thousands of dollars responding to something that was rescinded in less than 24 hours. Hundreds of thousands of dollars. Putting together plans, communicating what this means, and sending emails back and forth, sending messages to congressional members, folks on all the systems, and trying to see what other people are doing. That's just for the small number of people I support. I have no idea how much we wasted. Those ICE raids on the 21st, raids, I understand that was a very costly use of our tax dollars for what equates to about 80 people. And I am sad about those 80 people. But here's what I want you to know, Sugar. There were people who tell me, girl, you scared of Brad the pimp? He ain't nobody. He stupid. He dumb. He ain't got no money. He da 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 da. They might be right, but they not effective. I wasn't ever talking to Brad. You know why? Because I saw really beautiful, accomplished, smart women go over there and never come back out. Just watch. So while he might be dumb, he wasn't stupid in this way. And so I would tell myself, I ain't going over there because he going to have me out on the corner of truth selling my behind for some cash. And when you recognize that the strategy is to distract, to divide, to destroy, you will stop attacking LGBTQ people. You will stop attacking trans people. You will stop attacking Asian people. You will stop attacking poor people. You will stop attacking immigrants. You will stop attacking farmers. You will stop attacking veterans. You will stop attacking dumb, rural, white people. You will stop, you will stop, you will stop. And you will point your attention to the 10 richest white male Americans and recognize that this strategy of loading the system down is a brilliant one, and it's working only because we let it. So here's my solution. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to do this. When you hear something, I want you to give it 48 hours before you respond. I know in today's environment where you want to be the first one to tell people about the plane crash, where you want to be the first one to tell people about the federal grant, where you want to be the first one, don't contribute to the chaos. This time is causing for measured gravitas. What do I mean? Keep your cool about your pimp. You know what this is. Recognize it for when he gets on TV and he says, this is because the DEI hires. You think he's stupid. I'm telling you, the man's smart. You know why he's smart? Because most people think that means somebody black is the reason that happened. Now, we could start going down and say, how many black people represented in aviation and realize that those percentages ain't got nothing to do with us? Were we even there? Facts. In a situation where you're dealing with somebody who is using disinformation and lies as a strategy, you about to get in a verbal war? No. And here's what I wish. I wish we were rioters. I wish I knew how to organize a riot. I actually am jealous of what the people of January 6th were able to do. I would love to just go to the middle of the United States and get me 500,000 of my closest friends and shut down all of I-70. I don't know how to do that. But let me tell you what I do know how to do. I know how to control what I can control. And I know what the richest 4 to 5 people in the world appreciate. If you look at the top 3 values, wealth is probably up there, baby. You don't get to be that wealthy without it. And I say that Dr. King in the book, Chaos or Community, Where Do We Go From Here, was right. Stop buying stuff. I know I'm making it sound real simple. I ain't telling you to stop shopping nowhere. I ain't telling you to shop black or shop this. Stop buying stuff. Don't buy nothing you don't need. This week, I saw a cute little pair of earrings, didn't buy them. I wanted some snacks in the airport, didn't get them. I wanted some new, like this, there's this cute little pen that I've been looking at and now it's on sale. I didn't get it. You know why? Because materialism is fueling our need to just consume And as we are consuming and buying all this junk and building storage facilities, this unchecked economic engine is run amok. I ain't buying nothing. Somebody sent me a list of all the Black businesses I could purchase from. I love it. I appreciate it. And I ain't buying nothing I don't need. Not a single thing. Nothing. If I don't need it, I am not buying it. And I want you to do the same. I want you to think about your spending. If we could, I am inspired by what happened with the Montgomery bus boycotts. I do not find myself to be a King or Rosa Parks or Bayard Rustin or any of the people who were behind the scenes making that work. I'm not that. But whoever is that, my hope is that they would push us to don't buy nothing. These people who were relegated to domestic work, not that there's anything wrong with it, but some of them should have been astronauts and couldn't do anything else. By law. That's what makes racism different. It was by law. And they inconvenienced themselves for 381 days, I think, not being able to ride the bus. In a very small, Montgomery, Alabama is a very small city, really. And they shifted the whole landscape of the South, regardless if you think they did the right thing or not. We really can't do that today. There's no thing that all one group of people purchase. Like this doesn't exist. But let me tell you what we can do. I got enough glasses, got enough lipstick. I got enough. I don't need no new widget for my phone. I don't need nothing, not buying anything. And I invite everyone to join me in this anti-materialism campaign, which is what's going on in your mind that makes you think you need things to make you feel valuable, to make you feel worthy, to make you be somebody. Don't buy nothing. There's a wellness walk that I help to organize, and there's a shirt that comes with the walk. Not buying it. I'm not buying it. I will wear the colors. I'm not buying it. And if somebody has to say it's my revolution, has something to say, it's my revolutionary tactic. And I invite all of you to join me. You don't need one thing to be worthy of dignity. Don't consume anything else, because $422.7 billion is unchecked capitalism, which makes it possible to buy an election. I don't know how many billions the man spent, but it was the equivalent of me pulling a $20 bill out of my pocket because he got so much money just unchecked. And I think the unity that we can demonstrate is, look, man, you got something against a trans person? That's you. Keep it to yourself. Stop buying stuff. Don't buy. You don't even know no trans person. Stop buying stuff. You over here, a Christian, and you got some issue with the way the Buddhists meditate, distraction. Stop buying stuff. Don't buy nothing. Buy nothing. 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 If you don't need it, don't buy it. You go to the store and you need 2 bananas, do not buy the bunch. I'm serious. Shut this thing down, because all these people care about is money. I got to go to work. It's Filter Free Friday, y'all. We got work to do.